Nonie Darwish, Glasgow gang lady, author extraordinaire, just brilliant woman. I love this woman.
I love you too.
Nonie, that's right, Rosie the Riveter. I want to talk to you about Egypt. You're from Egypt. Your books are so wonderful. I'm reading right now. They call me infidel.
Now they call me infidel. Why I renounced jihad for America, Israel, and the war on terror.
Egypt, we just gave them $1.3 billion again. Supposedly that's to protect the Suez Canal borders and Israel, but everything I've read in your book says we maybe shouldn't do that.
Absolutely. I don't know. America keeps falling into the same trap, Islamic trap. The Arab world is on a mission to destroy Israel and conquer the world through jihad and bring the caliphate, and they're getting closer and closer into accomplishing their goal. Now, all this less Islamic leaders are gone. We're getting more radical leaders, Muslim Brotherhood leaders. So everything is working in just the yin and the yang. Everything is just going towards Islamization. And not only is the Arab world heading towards Islamization and the Muslim world, but Europe and America are assisting them to accomplish their goals. Actually, in America today, we are not allowed to say Islamic terrorism. And America has declared that the war on terror is over. Right. And now, but he's retaining all the, espionage things against Americans and not against the terror.
Now, but Barack Obama and this administration, they try to say that the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt is the new and improved version. Yes. That they're the nice guys now. Is this true?
A lot of people in the West, which is amazing, a lot of people in the West don't understand that all these Islamic organizations are really one. Because Islam is Islam. The goals of Islam is to conquer the world. So any organization that holds the flag of Islam, it has the goal of jihad in it, jihad through violence. The only smart thing that they're doing now is they are dividing the roles. So the Muslim Brotherhood birthed an organization called Al-Qaeda to do the terrorism for them. And they do the diplomacy now. But historically, the Muslim Brotherhood was always a terrorist organization. It has either succeeded to assassinate every Egyptian president or actually attempted an assassination on all of them. In 1949, the Prime Minister of Egypt was killed by the Muslim Brotherhood. There was an assassination attempt on Gamal Abdel Nasser by the Muslim Brotherhood. And Anwar Sadat was killed by the Muslim Brotherhood. There was an assassination attempt on Mubarak by the Muslim Brotherhood. There hasn't been one Muslim Egyptian leader who was not threatened. But so all these groups, whether you want to call it Hamas or even Hezbollah, I mean, even though it's Shiite, but they're all basically want the same thing. But they are trying to confuse the West. And I think the West is on purpose trying to fall in the trap because the reality is so unbelievable. So the West on purpose, in my opinion, is accepting the lies because the truth is scary.
And even in England, when the Islamic jihadist had blood on his hands and looked straight in the camera and said, "I'm an Islamic jihadist." Yes. He quotes the Quran, and we still deny he's an Islamic jihadist.
Yeah. They are saying, we're jihadists, and we're telling them, no, you're not, sweetheart.
Yeah. You're confused.
You're just a confused person. You don't understand that your religion is really a religion of peace. Right. But it's our fault because we don't welcome you enough in our country.
You watch Middle Eastern television, and you know what they're saying, and we don't. Exactly. What are they saying? Are they laughing at us? Are they laughing?
All the way to the bank. They're taking our money, pretending to be our friends. Like
it's tequila, right?
Yeah, Pakistan, it's not even the case. They're doing it openly because we are telling them we don't want to know. We don't want to know your intention. And they are seeing Obama cover up for Islamists. So when they go and kill what they are seeing now is really a dangerous sign. When they attacked our consulate in Benghazi, it wasn't the Muslim Brotherhood who defended, say, by denial anymore. You know, after 9/11, Muslims started saying, oh, it's not us. It's a very weird, we're now doing the defending for them. Unfortunately, it used to be the Muslims defending themselves by saying we didn't do it. And now it's Obama administration is doing the job for them. This is really scary. It's almost like a Stockholm syndrome. Never underestimate the effects of terrorism on a nation. The American people have been traumatized by 9/11. And the Muslim world since the 7th century understood what psychological trauma is through terror. Muhammad himself stated in many occasions in the Quran, in the Hadith, that I have been victorious through terror. And he used the word terror, not in a negative way, in a proudful way. See, the word terror in the West means something negative, right? In the Muslim world, it's positive. It's something to be proud of. So this is where the
We're not even allowed to say that word anymore.
But we are telling them, we don't want to call you that name, but they are proud of it. And the end result of terrorism on a nation is divisiveness. It divides a nation. Instead of the nation unifying against the terrorists, the nation divides itself against one another. Part of the nation says, we are going to try to please the terrorists so they love us, and we'll identify with them, we'll give them excuses because eventually they're going to love us. And the other half of the nation says we have to fight it. And instead of uniting for strength against the terrorists, America is eating itself, unfortunately.
And which is what they count on. They talk about the 1,000 paper cuts to bleed us to death.
That's what happened to Egypt in the 7th century. A lot of people in America don't know that Egypt used to be a Christian nation in the 7th century. And a lot of people don't know that.
Well, let's talk about the Coptics, because they are being slaughtered, right? They're being slaughtered now.
All Copts. It was a Christian nation. And in a time of weakness, Arabs just conquered Egypt and Persia at the same time, the same year. Arabs conquered Egypt and Persia and even the area of Jerusalem. And they converted a lot of the churches in Egypt into mosques. They went to the Holy Temple of the Jews and built a mosque on top of the ruins of the temple. They did the same thing in Persia, same thing in Turkey, same thing in India.
And they tried to do that at ground zero on 9/11.
Exactly. Yeah. And let me tell you why Islam conquered all these countries very quickly. Because it provided to leaders a novel way to control the people. The Byzantine Empire at that time, which was in Turkey and Egypt, was where the Byzantine Empire was, which is a Christian empire. The people were hating their governments, and the governments could not control the people. Something very similar to what America is today. And what happened when you have such divisions, when Arabs conquer at a time of weakness, they know this is the great playground to conquer when a country is divided against each other, and that's what happens in America today. And Egypt, ever since the Arabs conquered Egypt, they changed our language to Arabic, and they changed our religion to Islam. This great civilization called Egypt never saw its glory days again. Islam destroys not only the culture and religion and language of a culture, but it puts it into a slave mentality. Egypt and Persia and all the conquered nations by the Arab world, and we call ourselves Arab after that because we speak Arabic, anybody who speaks Arabic. But Arabic was forced on Egypt through terror. And
what about moderate Muslims? Because they always talk about moderate Muslims, that most of the extremism is just a little tiny faction and that most people aren't. What do you say about that?
Well, I'll tell you how I view this. This is a tricky part. It's tricky because this is the propaganda on silence. The way they silence you is to divert the attention from discussing Islam, the ideology, and how bad it is, and try to make it personal, at the personal level. So let's discuss the people. And I'm not discussing people, because there's good and bad in everybody. We have to look at Islam exactly the same way we looked at Nazism and fascism, communism. In Germany, when the Nazi movement started, it doesn't mean, and destroyed the whole European culture, it doesn't mean that all Germans were evil people, right? Communism is evil. The ideology of communism is evil because it's against human nature. But it doesn't mean that everybody who lived in the Soviet Union, the millions and millions of people who lived in the Soviet Union, means they are evil people, or they are all radicals. So this idea of calling, but not all Muslims are radicals, and half Muslims are radical, I don't care. The ideology is evil. The ideology of Islam is evil. And you don't have to have all Muslims doing what Islam tells them to do. I really don't care how many moderate Muslims there are and how many radical Muslims there are. There are enough radicals and enough terrorists to destroy, and they are succeeding, destroying Western civilization and freedom.
Nonie Darwish, talk about your new book. And it was sold out when I was looking for it, so I need it.
Well, I have 3 books. The last one is called The Devil We Don't Know, The Dark Side of Revolutions in the Middle East. And it came out a year and a half ago to explain to the world why Muslim countries can never achieve freedom and democracy. They will never achieve. As long as they're Muslim and they care about Sharia law, they will never achieve freedom and democracy. But unfortunately, the people don't understand it. The people in the Muslim world don't understand what's preventing them from having freedom and democracy. Egypt had a revolution in 1919. Egypt had another revolution in 1952. And then another revolution in 2011. Each revolution that happens in the whole Muslim world aspires for the same thing. We're going to have freedom and democracy. We're going to have, a change. And each revolution brings the country down a little more. Because under Islamic law, a Muslim head of state can come to power through seizure of power, meaning through force. So Islamic law is the constitution of every Muslim country. And under Islamic law, freedom of speech is not allowed. Freedom of assembly is not allowed. Freedom of the media is not allowed. Insulting Islam is not allowed. Any little thing that you criticize Islam, which eventually becomes criticizing the government, because the government's constitution is Islamic law. So any criticism of the government or Islam becomes an illegal act, and the death penalty is applied right away. So how can you have laws like that and say, I want to have a revolution and have freedom and democracy? It's an oxymoron. It just doesn't make sense. And the same people who are, walking in Tahrir Square and rioting, those people they don't understand that it's their religion that's causing this, unfortunately. And the same thing here in America. Our media tells us Islam is a religion of peace. Oh, there's a few radicals, but they really don't represent Islam. So the misinformation is not only fed by the Muslim leaders in the Muslim world, the misinformation is fed by our government and our media who are not Muslims, but who are selling America to prevent us from knowing the truth about this terror called Islam.
Where do people find you?
Nonie Darwish at hotmail.com.
Brilliant.